like my best friend. She a real bad bitch, got her own money. She don't
Did he tell me why?
Welcome back to the Financial Style on New Star Radio 98.7 FM. The time is approaching 22:11 here. Still lots to come for you. After 11 o'clock, I'm talking to a Birmingham businessman who has just won a national award from the Prince's Trust. And we're going to find out a little bit more about why he's won this award, some of the work that he's been doing, and what he's doing right now that could be very inspiring to you. But before we get to that, this morning's 5 in 5 is all about 5 things that I hope in about 5 minutes time is going to help you out. And today I wanted to talk to you about just 5 ways that you could make a few decisions that could actually get your money up. You know, when we think about increasing our income and increasing our value of life, it is very often the case that we put a lot of focus around doing really big things. You know, people come to me and say, listen, you know, I want to improve my money. I want to learn how to invest. And they're thinking about, you know, investing thousands of pounds in Bitcoin or stock market or wherever. Do you know what I mean? Actually, you could just be making a few key decisions that could make a massive, massive difference. So the very first thing I wanted you to consider is opening up a brokerage account, as I just talked about investment. But opening a broker account is not just something that rich people do. The reality is that you can have a spare 20 quid a month and get yourself started. There's lots of what they call penny stock apps that are available to you, and you will be surprised how quickly you can earn money by signing up to them. Now, for example, I know I've got a penny stock app, and I think I save a minimum of £100 a month via that particular app, one of them, via that particular app. Now, I started doing that probably about, I'm going to say maybe 15 months ago. It was over a year ago, maybe a little bit longer. But yeah, maybe about 18 months ago, something like that. At the moment, I've got £2,000 in there, and that's money that I've not felt any difference on. Plus, I've earned a 9.5% return on that investment since it's been there. So part of it's savings, but part of it is investment income that if I wanted to withdraw that money, I actually have the ability to do that, and I've made a profit in that time. And that's better than if I'd have put that money into a bank account. So don't think that actually opening a brokerage account is something that is outside of your reach. Another excellent tool for new investors is what they call an exchange traded fund, an ETF. And basically what that is you investing your money in a whole fund of businesses. So it's not just one organization in a fund, and it's usually the top 100 or top 500 of a particular index. And an index is a market that will operate in different parts of the world. For example, you've got the London Stock Exchange as an example, the LSE. So you can invest in the top businesses, and as they do better, so do you. And once again, you don't have to be investing thousands of pounds. You can invest a little bit and it can go a long way. So do think about doing that. If you can save anything, don't save it, invest it. The second thing is budgeting. We underestimate how important budgeting is, and the first thing I say to anybody who comes to me talking about financial improvements is, when was the last time you looked at your budget? I try to make a point of looking at my budget once a quarter. And why? Because things change. I mean, I'll give you an example. It's like the other day, I wasn't even looking at my budget, and I got an email, a notification from a very popular streaming platform that informed me that as of the 1st of April, my bill was going up. I was like, oh no, honey, it's going down. Because then what it made me do was look at, well, exactly what am I paying for? How is that working? And I just decreased that baby straight away. So do not be afraid to look at ways in which you can make cutbacks in your budget. You know, make your coffee at home instead of buying it on road. Things like that that can make a huge difference. But don't underestimate the power of budgeting. The third thing I would say is, listen, start a side hustle, okay? Whether, and I say this all the time, people have got so many talents. Like, I feel like I'm rubbish when it comes to things like doing hair or making cakes or anything like that. I'm not crafty in that way, but it doesn't mean that I'm not thinking about how to start and how to run a side hustle. Now, for example, one of my side hustles is teaching people how to invest. That's a side hustle. That's not something I do all the time. I don't run programs all the time. You know, I tend to run them mainly on demand, actually. But again, it's a nice little money spinner when the time comes. And the thing is, you can boost your income by £1,000, £2,000 over a relative short period of time, depending on your product, if you just get that side hustle started. So, you know, start thinking about how you can make extra money. And then when you've got one side hustle going, get another one going. Do you know what I mean? So that could be starting a YouTube channel, for example, or, you know, again, figuring out ways in which to package your knowledge into an online program. Like that would be sort of my maybe version of a second side hustle, and then just selling that. Do you know what I mean? But once you get one going, get another one going. And then I think the final one I would say, which I think is really, really important, is have an emergency fund available. And why that's important is because, shockingly, we actually spend the majority of our money when we are in tough times, because that's when access to money becomes more expensive. So when you've got an actual emergency fund available to you, ideally 6 months worth of bills in the bank, start saving that up, putting that down somewhere. Don't put it under the floorboards, because if your house burns down, that's going to be problematic. But, you know, start thinking about doing that. What happens then is that when there's an emergency, you don't have to tap into borrowing, you don't have to tap into that overdraft, you don't have to tap into those things. And when that's not an option, or you don't have to take up those options, your money in general becomes cheaper. I know that sounds really weird, but it's true. It's better that you borrow from your own emergency fund, because guess what? You're not going to charge yourself interest, than if you borrow it from somebody else's, like a loan, and find that you're going to have lots of interest to pay. So have a think about incorporating some of those things. You know, start investing. If you can reach it, get to property. If you can't, start with penny stocks, but start somewhere. Get an emergency fund together, look at your budget on a regular basis, and really get real with yourself, because you'd be surprised how just a few strategic financial decisions really can make the difference to what your overall money proposition looks like moving forward. It's 11:15 here on New Star Radio 98.7 FM. I'm very grateful for you joining me this morning. Do remember, if you want to catch up with any of the content from the shows in the last year and a half, you can jump on my website, financialstyle.media. We'll give you a link to all the shows and even give you a little bit of a breakdown as to what's been going on within them. When we come back, now I mentioned investment, but I know some of you are thinking, how would I know how to invest in a business? How do I know what's a good business, what's a bad business? Well, put it to you like this. I'm only going to have about 10 minutes. So I'm not going to be able to break this all down for you, but I'm going to give you some guidance on the sorts of questions you should be asking if you want to invest in a brand new business, or even one that's been knocking about for a bit. How can you decide the health of an organization? Something that's going to be really important, even when thinking about how to establish the health of your own. But in the meantime, this is Daps on the Map, of course, featuring Falaba, and it's beautiful. I love this song. I think this song is beautiful. What do you think? Let me know.